Hey everyone, this is Beth Elderkin with IO9, and I am here with the creators and writers behind Netflix's Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, which is coming out on August 30th, and we're going to talk all about the lore and the creation of this amazing world. One of the strengths, and some would say weaknesses, of the original is that it introduced this big, beautiful world with these amazing creatures, and they just exist. They don't really get explained. But, you know, nowadays in 2019, with our fantasy lore, we love to have everything detailed to us, wrapped in a nice big picture with big descriptions, lots of books. I heard there's a documentary coming out. So how do you balance honoring that original intent of not over-explaining your world, but also giving fans what they're going to want?
You're going to see a lot of new creatures and a lot of new life in Thra, and you're going to see places and bits of it that you never got to see before, and that's really fun.
You know, we're not making this movie in 1982, we're making this movie in a post-Game of Thrones, post, Lord of the Rings world, where most of the big franchise properties have been strip-mined. Like, I know Grand Moff Tarkin's first name, okay? Why would I know that? In a way, it's better sometimes when things are not as explained, because that's where your mind fills it in.
That's what fans do. That's a way to be involved and be enthusiastic and show love for the property. So we've tried to answer as much as we could, but I'm sure people will find the life in the Henson corners. There's always a creature. What's that guy's doing? What's his name? And that's for the next group of storytellers.
There's going to be books, and obviously we have, like, you know, the documentary and the picture book and the guidebook and all of that stuff. But a lot of the magic of this kind of stuff and the thing that makes franchises big is exactly what you described at first. It's that, like, you see something on screen and you go, I wonder what that is, you know, and then your imagination is engaged by that. In a way, it's better sometimes when things are not as explained, because that's where your mind fills it in. That's where fandom comes from.
Are there any familiar characters we can expect? I know it takes place a long time ago, but...
The Skeksis are all the same, you know, and so are the Mystics, because they're literally the history of Thra. So when you see those characters, you're going to be seeing the, you know, younger, more spry version of those exact characters you saw in the movie. One
of the things that's so noticeable about the Skeksis in the movie is that they are not doing great. And so we thought, how does that affect their character when they are in their prime? When they move a little bit better, when they look fantastic, when they're on top of the world. I mean, yes.
Yeah. Pustulant, cruel, twisted, hard bodies, but they look great.
For that.
Yeah.
For that.
Well,
and so, same thing for the Gelfling.
How did you work to build the Gelflings, their civilization? What can we expect to learn about them and their world in this show?
Well, you're definitely going to see the 7 clans, and each one sort of has their part of Thra.
And the other thing that's really interesting is the Gelfling have this matriarchal culture. So they have their own system of government, you know, but there's a lot of very dramatically intense and very interesting kind of conflicts between the Gelfling vis-a-vis how they relate to the Skeksis and how that world works. Which is part of how the Skeksis keep control of the planet is, you know, they keep the Gelfling not entirely trusting each other. So you're seeing that world that you just sort of glimpse in the movie, you know, you see the banquet and you see a couple of things. We're really going behind the scenes on that and making that part of the drama. We have 7 clans of Gelfling in this TV show, so you're seeing an entire spectrum of civilization. You're seeing a planet that is developed, that has societies, that has different racial groups, different divisions between different species and stuff like that. In a lot of ways, the first episode is sort of a guided tour through the world of Thra. Kind of the same way that something like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones would, you know, they take you to Winterfell, they take you here, they take you there, they take you to King's Landing. We took a very similar approach. You know, we're bringing you into this world and gently ushering you in and showing you everything that's going on in it, so that it's familiar from the film, but you're seeing an entirely different perspective on it.
What was your reaction when so many different big-name people, you know, Mark Hamill, Taron Egerton, Nathalie Emmanuel, were coming in wanting to be a part of this project?
This show is so iconic. Jim Henson is such a beloved figure. These characters are imprinted in the minds of people, and especially a certain generation that grew up with the Dark Crystal. When the show was announced, people started coming out of the woodwork, like famous people were calling us and saying, we want to come in and meet. And we're like, we're not done writing it. We're not in for, what do you want to meet for? And they're like, we don't care, we're coming in. And then so we actually got to have all these meetings that you wouldn't have in your normal life, because, you know, people just wanted to know what we were doing and if they could be involved in any way. And it shows on the screen, because all of us who are there because we love this material.
What was it like, first full day on the set, seeing the scenes be shot, seeing all the puppets and this world that you'd created be actually brought to life in front of you?
So many people worked on it. Like, genuinely put their heart and soul into this. The puppeteers, the craftspeople, Louie, Lisa Henson, she knows this world inside and out, the Henson Company. And it's a big show that a lot of people put a lot of love into.
But when Will and I came into the set for the first time, we were together. the biggest thing that made my heart swell was the idea that like everything that made me want to do this as a kid, we're here now doing it. And I'm not saying that we're on the level of, you know, Frank Oz and Jim Henson and Gary Kurtz, obviously, but it was one of those things where realizing that we were treading on that ground, which is sacred ground, of being in production, doing something that these people did that set the course of our own lives in motion, was magical.
You could walk into the crystal chamber, you could walk into your childhood. That's an incredible experience. It's an emotional experience. And it was amazing. I spent 10 months in Thra.